Hi everyone, my name is Jill Servich with Figments Studio, and I'm going to show you what our new product line is today. It's a really nice merchandiser that was inspired by an antique desk, and there's two pieces to it. This back portion is a shelf unit which holds the journals, and there are 6 different art images that we feature, 3 in each row, and there's 2 of each design. This lower unit is inspired by the drawer part, and it can move in and out below the shelf unit. There's a stationery box, a box of note cards that look like an antique vintage mailbox. Inside there's little postcards. There's a little notepad. And then there's bookmarks, feather pens, photo corners up here in front, and then our little inkwell which holds our feather pen. So it's a fun little collection. And so today we're going to show you how to assemble this. This piece, the stationery and the desk accessories, come in the lower unit already pre-packed, so you don't have to do anything there except just unwrap everything and display it. But this top piece, the shelf unit, needs to be assembled. So we're going to show you how to do that. I'm going to step over here and show you how this comes out of the packing box. So here's the drawer unit with everything shipped. You'll also get the journals. They'll be packaged like this. And then this is the merchandiser sections, and you'll also have an instruction manual how this goes together. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm Jill's husband, and I'm going to go through the assembly of the point of purchase display. We'll start off sort of looking at the assembly instructions. So you get a booklet of assembly instructions with the package that Jill showed you when the display arrives. So we'll just walk through these assembly steps. So I'll be referencing the assembly steps, so if you're reading along with that, that might help kind of keep you oriented. A couple of things that aren't called out in the instruction booklet that I think is kind of handy to have. You might want to have like some Scotch tape maybe, or some masking tape, because as you're putting the display together, it's handy to be able to tape things and keep them in place. So what we'll start off with is what you see in step 1 is this display insert, which is part B, and this display body, which is part A. You just set the insert into the body, very simple. So you can see the body just folds over this insert. You're going to want to make sure these pieces are popped loose. All of these pre-cut tabs, you're going to want to make sure those are removed, because having those tabs removed is going to allow these pieces to fit together later on. So we've got the insert in the body. Now we're going to start with the first shelf unit. So what we do, this is the step 3 in the instructions, and what we're going to do is keep the body and the insert sort of flat on the table, and just slip, if you could come around here, Jill, a little bit, we'll just slip the tabs in. And this is one of those places where it's handy to have some tape, because as we continue forward, this piece will want to slip out. So what we're going to do now that we have the tabs in is we're just going to put a piece of tape on each one of these, and I'm just using masking tape partly because it's easy to pull it off if I want to pull it off later. So we've got that drawer in. Now what we're going to do Let's fold this back. These cool sort of images on the front that you'll see. Now we're going to fold these tabs down and then pick up one side of the display body and raise that. And we're just going to make sure these tabs are removed. We're just going to fold up this body and slip the tab from the bottom shelf. It's tab number 5 is going into slot number 5. Sometimes it helps to sort of pop those slots open a little bit. Okay, so we've got the drawer in here, and just like we did with the other tabs, we're going to put a piece of tape here just to hold it in place. That's something we didn't mention in the directions, but I think it's really handy when we rewrite the directions. We'll probably add this step of putting the tape in. Now we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So here we've got tab number 1 going into slot number 1. Now again, I'm going to kind of open that slot up a bit so things fit together easier. And then I'm just slipping in tab 1 and slot 1. And I'm going to put a piece of tape so the whole thing is staying together as I go. Okay, now we've got the bottom drawer in place. We're just going to lift the unit up. I'll fold that top back for now. Now we can push the edge of the body in. There's a little tab there, and those sort of snap into place. Same thing on this side, they just kind of snap in. Okay, so we've got the bottom shelf partially in. Now we're going to move to step 4, which is some interior supports that keep the shelf stable once the unit is complete. Now you'll see in the directions we're looking at pieces of F, G, H, and I. So F and G are these two sort of funny shaped vertical pieces, and we're going to put them together like so. Pretty easy. So we've got those together. Now this H is the front piece here. That goes together, and then this just slips into inside the unit. Now again, what I like to do here is put a piece of tape in just to keep things stable while I'm working. Okay, and I'll do one in the back as well. And it really helps a lot that pieces aren't sort of flopping around as you proceed. Okay, so we've got sort of the body kind of together and the supports in. Now we're going to go to step 5, and we're going to finish sort of installing or inserting this lower shelf. So the first thing I'm going to do on slot number 2 that's on the left is I'll just sort of pull it out a little bit and kind of flare those corners out so there's less of a tendency for the shelf to get hooked on those edges. The cardboard on this, sometimes these pieces kind of get hung up together. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind here. Once you have those flared out a little bit, we're going to fold this creased piece. We're just going to fold over at roughly a 90-degree angle, and you'll see in a second why that is. And this is one of those times when having the tape in place is really handy because things stay stable as you pull this up. So I'm also folding tab 2 and tab 6 down, again, not quite at a 90-degree angle. And then I'm just going to bring that up and slip those into place. Tab 2 into slot 2 on the left, and tab 6 and the slot 6 on the right. And then you want to pay special attention here, because the reason we folded that over roughly to 90 degrees is because this cardboard is going to go in front of this edge, this piece of cardboard and the support. It's a little bit snug, but there's a slot cut just for it, so it slips in nice and snug. So we're getting a nice stable base here for the shelf. So that's step 5 done. So we'll look now at step 6, which is about inserting the top shelf, which is part B. So real similar kind of process here. We're going to sort of rough in the shape of this, kind of bending that to roughly a 90-degree angle. This bottom crease we're going to bend backward, also to roughly a 90-degree angle. And so we've got the shelf, we're going to bend the tabs down, not quite 90 degrees, they'll be flared out a bit. So the shelf is roughly the shape it needs to be to go in. I'm going to set that down, and as I've done in other instances, I'm going to kind of flare these corners out a little bit to help, again, keep that cardboard from getting snagged when I put the tabs in. Okay, so we'll put the bottom edge in, and it slips into this horizontal slot. Okay, now again, just to keep things in place while I'm working, I'm going to put a couple of pieces of tape in here, one on that side, and one on this side. So as I start to move this thing around, it's not going to come out of those slots. Okay, so just like last time, we kind of have everything set. We're going to bring this, the tabs in, and tab 8 will go into slot 8 on the right. Oh, you know, we want to make sure that's bent a little bit. Okay. Sometimes these are just a little bit fussy to get in. And then we've got slot 7 on the left. We'll slip that in. And then just like the lower shelf, we're going to bend this tab back, and it'll go right in front of that piece of cardboard that is part of the interior support. There's a slot cut for that to fit just so. Perfect. And you can see that the supports here are making the shelf nice and stable. All right. So the rest is pretty easy. Those sort of tricky pieces about getting tabs and things in place are done. Now we're just going to fold the top piece over. This again has a crease along the bottom. We're going to fold this back, and again roughly to a 90-degree angle, and we're going to slip this piece into this horizontal slot. Now sometimes what I do to ease that sort of fit is I might clip just a little bit of a corner off of that slot. You don't have to do that, but sometimes it makes fitting this piece in a little bit easier. So we fold it over, we've got this at roughly a 90-degree angle, and we slip this right into that slot below. Now sometimes, you know, if you have a little bit of a challenge getting that slot in, then you can, if you want to, you could put a piece of Scotch tape, you know, here or here if that's a little bit loose, but because we clipped it this time, we got a pretty good seat on that. Now the last thing is putting step 8 We have everything set up, and we're going to put the vertical, we got the vertical supports in. We're looking at step 9, excuse me. So what we're going to do here, what helps to do is to just kind of look down these slots before you put this header in. You can kind of see how things are oriented in there. And what I find is if I sort of tilt these tabs kind of back toward the back edge a little bit, there's less of a tendency for it to get hung up. That slips right in. So now you've got the shelves for the journals ready and fully assembled. Then you'll take the drawer and it will slip in like so. Whoops. And you will arrange journals on these shelves appropriately. And as Jill mentioned, there's 3 for each row, 2 deep. So that's the assembly.